On a basic level, Juneteenth is the holiday that was celebrated after enslaved Texans learned of their freedom. And that day happened 2 years after, more than 2 years, 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was issued, which was on January 1st, 1863. And on June 19th, 1865, enslaved Texans in Galveston learned that they were indeed free. And even though it was still a process, right, that they were still slaves, and it wasn't until the 13th Amendment was ratified in December that slavery was officially over. But Juneteenth, on its face, was a jubilant day when they learned that they indeed were free. Juneteenth is a uniquely Texan holiday, and it has spread around the nation. I think because, well, one, Texas is such a large state and in many ways has an influence on what happens in the rest of the country, but also I think as we learn about what it means to be, what it meant to be an enslaved person in this culture, what it meant to be chattel, and to look at what has happened to Black America, both good and bad. I think it's just a way to learn about the past as we carry into the future. And one of the things I will say is, you look at a lot of states that are passing legislation against critical race theory, and I think one of the things that's happened is there's this notion that if we don't talk about racism, if we don't talk about slavery, that somehow it means that we won't have a racist society. But that's not really how it works. We need to talk about these things, and we need to learn from these things so that we can move forward as opposed to pretending like they didn't happen. I think there are many different ways that a Texas State student could celebrate Juneteenth. And I think one of the most important ways, especially in this day and age, especially in light of what happened to George Floyd last year, is to really do a lot of anti-racism work. And I think people often think that doing anti-racism work means going out into the streets and protesting, and it doesn't have to be that. For some people, that's a way to do the kind of work. But for other people, it's reading, it's educating yourself, it's taking a class, taking an African American Studies class, taking a Latino Studies class. It's just a way to learn. It's learning and maybe educating your family, educating the person who posts racist things on social media. So I think Juneteenth is just one day to celebrate what happened in Texas, but it's also a way to carry on what people can do during the rest of the year. What Juneteenth means to me personally as someone who is in her second stint in Texas. So when I came in 1994, I had not heard of Juneteenth until I took classes at the University of Texas at Austin and started to learn about it. And I'm learning that Juneteenth is an important holiday, not just in the state, but across the country. And it is a way to celebrate and to learn and to take hope into the future. But the only way we can do that is if we can learn about what happened in the past. I do think Juneteenth should matter to all Americans because this country was built on the histories of Black people and was built on the backs of Native people, built on the backs of Mexican people. And I think that this holiday should be celebrated by everyone. I think one of the things we can learn about Juneteenth and learn about what happened on June 19th, 1865, was the joy and the hope that the enslaved Texans had when they learned of their freedom. And I think that's something we can all take with us, is the hope that things will be better and that things won't always be like they are today.